All right, everybody, just a brief video here about the channel and the space weather and so forth. Yes, I know it's been over 3 weeks since we've made a space weather video, so we're pushing a month here, the longest span that we've ever had not making the daily space weather content. And the reason for that is a massive corporate restructuring. So you'll see the content change, you'll see the type of content change, you'll see sponsors, everything will look completely differently moving forward. So I decided to bring up this video here, the 131 angstroms SDO, because that's the period of time that it's been since we haven't made a video. So I just figured I would show that and just sort of explain what's occurred. So yeah, so basically what happened was I got really burned out on making space weather videos every single day, nearly every day for pushing 6 years. And so I needed to take some time off, but at the same time I also noticed some stuff going on with the cycling forum. So as you can see behind me, I've got a USA Cycling skin suit hanging up over here, and I've got an SNN jersey over here, and that's because everything's going to be much more tied together in terms of my sort of activities, right? So that's a little bit about what's going on, and there'll be more updates on all of that stuff moving forward. But I just figured I would put out a brief video here just to sort of let you know what's been going on, and just a quick reminder about where the channel came from and you know, the purpose of it in the first place. So there's a couple reasons why the channel exists. Some of you may not be aware that in the mid 1990s I nearly majored in cosmology. Back in the mid 1990s, I realized there was a huge hole in cosmology as a result of heliophysics. So heliophysics is not well understood, in my opinion. And I mean, geophysics isn't really that well understood, right? So, but the point is, I cover space weather because I'm interested in the cosmology. In other words, I'm looking outward from the solar system and indeed the galaxy. So that's a little bit about the reasoning behind why the channel exists. But ultimately, it was because of the demand, all right? So it was super obvious that there's a high demand for space weather content, but there's not really a very high supply of space weather content, especially good space weather content. Shout out to Tamitha Scove, somebody who makes good space weather content. And speaking of which, let me get this a little bit larger for you. Since it's partially cropped, I might as well increase the size. There we go. That'll show all of the series of massive solar flares that have gone on in the past 3 weeks or so. So it's been an exciting 3 weeks as far as space weather goes. Lots of solar flares and so forth. And hey, lo and behold, the world still hasn't ended. And of course, that's part of what we mean by quality content versus nonsensical content. We are trying to allow people to be able to forecast space weather, Earth weather, understand the physics, etc. So that's a little bit about what the channel's all about, and the reason why the videos have not been around. I've been dedicating a massive amount of time to doing this, and it has to do with scientific measurements of things like cycling output. So again, I'll talk about all of this stuff in greater detail. I just figured I'd catch up, and yeah, over here, I'd catch up and take a look at what's been going on for the past 3+ weeks. I mean, let's bring up another wavelength here. I can probably rant a little bit longer. We are still working on other things, so make sure you check out the previous videos on the channel if you want to see some little tidbits of what's been going on. And what's been going on has been quite a bit of the two-wheeled transportation type maneuvers, and some of it being done at rather shocking speeds. So yeah, so expect more of this and expect more of that coming soon. We're not back to where we'll be in a daily format yet, but perhaps we'll be back to a daily space weather video format in a matter of a week or so. That could be, there are just logistical concerns regarding scheduling of certain other business activities and so forth. Again, I'll talk all about it at a later time. I just figured I would catch up with what's going on with space weather. And of course, we will continue to put out some of the same stuff. Of course, it's always exciting to see things like 4-bush minima, cosmic ray flux at the lowest levels that it's been in 20 years and so forth. I mean, these are all good signs, so people should be not really concerned about the apocalypse. So, however, if you're comfy with your doomsday cult, then by all means, stay in your doomsday cult. So yeah, in any case, space weather content coming back soon. I just recently submitted another Ask a Particle Physicist segment question to our colleague, our esteemed colleague, Mr. Eugene the Philosopher. Yes, so, yeah, and let's see, what else? What else is going on? Do we have any space weather events happening right now? Well, there was a geomagnetic storm. It was pretty mild from what I saw in the alerts. Some M-class flares in the past 24 hours. It's... yeah, that thing's not likely to kill you. So anyway, yeah, that's a little bit about the scenario. And yeah, check out the recent videos if you haven't. There's a bunch of like nature videos and cycling videos and stuff. And we may do things like even report on the Tour de France in July. Like you never know, because there's always some interesting analysis to be had there. And it's the cycling and the space weather, they're not going away anytime soon. These are going to be increasingly highly focused subjects by people, of course, because of going green and so on, right? So anyway, yeah, look at those filaments on the recent solar disk here. It's some pretty big filaments going on there. And let me actually, I'll briefly show you those from the gong data, because those are quite good indeed. So let's just briefly bring that up. There we are. Properly massive filaments there. So exciting stuff continues. And again, we are still there's been absolutely no change in terms of the forecasts for when solar maximum is expected. It's still expected sometime around October 2024, in my opinion. I mean, I don't see any reason to change any of that. All of the stuff that we've seen going on. And keep in mind, until you get to solar maximum, you can expect to see twice as many X flares as you've seen per cycle. So, yeah, you can expect to see about 180% of the X-class solar flares that you saw during solar cycle 24 when all is said and done, because you can expect another, 8 months? Another 8 months of similar space weather to what we have now. So that's the scenario. Again, space weather coming back soon. We'll see you soon here at the Smash News Network, least busted name in news. Thanks for tuning in. I've been your host, Dan, a.k.a. Smash-O-Mash. And until next time, may that solar wind be at your back.